What's up, sexy lovers? Welcome back to the Sex Mechanic channel, where I inspire you to live a more pleasurable lifestyle around food, sex, travel, adventure, and financial independence. Today we're talking about sex, and more specifically, we're talking about 5 ways to drive your woman crazy during sex. So pay attention, take your pen and pad out, and take some notes. All right, so the first way to drive your woman crazy during sex is by kissing. I know it sounds kind of ridiculous and it sounds like something that doesn't even fit. A lot of people think of kissing as more of a formality, kind of a way to get things kicked off when you want to have sex, but then after that you kind of leave it by the wayside and ignore it. But in actuality, it's a really good way to keep the arousal high, and it serves a few purposes. For one, it sends a signal that it's time for the erogenous zones to activate and get ready for pleasure, for maximum pleasure. Also, it promotes connection and desire between, the people that are kissing each other. And finally, if done passionately and for long enough, you can actually get away with just kissing as what people like to consider foreplay without anything else. Again, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm telling y'all truth, facts, and I'm giving you guys things that have actually worked in real life. So, the second way to drive your woman crazy during sex is lift her up. Now, this one is more of an optional. You have to know kind of like your situation. You have to know your capabilities in terms of lifting, and you also have to know your partner and if that's something that either of you would feel comfortable doing. So this one's definitely optional, but if you're in a position where maybe you squat a lot and you go to the gym, you work out, and lifting your partner up is really easy for you, then this is a great option. So one of the things that it shows when you're able to lift your woman up, and you can lift her up against the wall, you can lift her up on a countertop, you can lift her up onto the bed, the couch, wherever. But for one, it shows your brute physical strength, which is very sexy to a woman. And at the very least, it shows her that you're at least stronger than her, which does matter because there's a level of protection that she feels when she knows that you have a certain level of physical strength. And also, the good thing about lifting is that it just gives her that feeling of like, if you had to take charge and be more assertive in a sexual space, that you could do that. And if you had to, for lack of a better word, manhandle her, in the bedroom, you would be able to do that as well without a lot of effort. So that again is super sexy for her, and she would really get turned on. So if you're able to, go ahead, but that's more again of an optional piece than it is a required piece. The third way to drive her crazy during sex is by taking your time. I preach this so much on all of my social media platforms when it comes to how to enjoy a more fulfilling sex life, is by taking your time. Not only does it help you last longer during sex for, a lot of males, a lot of people who have penises, it helps them last longer if they're able to take their time. But another thing that it does is it shows her that you're patient. It shows her that you're taking time and you're taking care in what you're doing, and you're not just rushing to the finish line, which is something that a lot of women are actually used to with their lovers. And so this can be your way to kind of separate yourself from, the rest of the people she's experienced, and just that's sexy for her. She'll look at it and be like, wow, he's being really patient. He or she is being really patient with me, and I appreciate that. And that in turn will actually turn her on even more. You'll see the excitement and arousal increase, and if it might end up like a lot of my situations where I don't even approach penile penetration until she's basically begging me to put it in, and that's when you know that for sure she's ready. You also know at that point that it's consensual, and you just get the best of the whole experience when she's fully engaged and fully aroused, and she wants it at that moment in time. So being patient allows you to do that a little bit, not a little bit, it allows you to do that a lot better than if you're in a rush. And when you think you're going slow enough, slow down even more. So the fourth way to drive your woman crazy during sex is by focusing your attention on her entire body. This happens to actually be one of the best ways to slow everything down as well. By focusing on other parts of the body outside of just the breast, the vulva, the ass, you allow yourself to not only take time, but you also allow for the whole body to be fully aroused and become an entire erogenous zone, rather than just focusing your attention on certain parts, just trying to get to the end. Because again, that goes back to the slowing down thing. If you're somebody who's kind of goal oriented and just trying to get to the finish line, that's not going to be very impressive for her. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to have a good sexual experience, but it does mean that it could have been better, and you don't want to leave good sex on the table. At least I don't. So I like to do everything that I can to make the experience as mutually enjoyable for both of us as possible. So one of those things is by definitely showing love to the entire body. And I'm talking about from head to toe. All right. So some areas that may be effective for getting higher arousal and more excitement are, and again, we can incorporate kissing in this as well. Kissing is not just for the lips. Kissing can go and apply to all over the body. So you can kiss areas like the earlobe, behind the ear, the neck below the jawline, the back of the neck, this entire area of the clavicle and shoulder blades, the chest above the breast, the stomach. The side of the stomach is a very sensitive area as well. The hips, the thighs, especially the inner thighs. Get as close to the vulva as you can when you're kissing the inner thighs and giving that attention, because it's kind of like a tease as well, and that's very sexy and that feels pretty good. The inner thighs are a very sensitive area as well. And of course, the feet and or toes, if you're into that. I'm not really a foot or toe guy, but if you are somebody who's into feet or toes or both, then sucking them toes would do a lot to get her, even more aroused, especially if you enjoy doing it and you do it well. So if you're into the toes and all of that, do your thing. That's a great way to continue the arousal process. And finally, the fifth way to drive your woman crazy during sex is by, I've got a little saying. Don't forget the clit. All right, so what that means is don't forget about the clitoris. The clitoris, its sole purpose is for pleasure. It's literally the woman's pleasure center, because its sole purpose is to create pleasure, and it's got thousands of nerve endings that allow that to happen, allow it to happen effectively and easily for a woman. But there's only one catch. The clitoris will not come out from under its hood to play with you unless the woman is sufficiently aroused. You've got to arouse her enough fully to where she's getting enough blood flow to that area for the clit to become engorged with blood and swell up to where it's ready to play. So keep that in mind. The whole thing that we've talked about today, all 5 steps or all 5 ways, are essentially just, methods to continue or increase arousal. And arousal allows for an unlimited amount of pleasure for women. Let me say that again. Maximum arousal allows for unlimited pleasure for women. Hopefully there's some ladies in here that are paying attention as well, and they're realizing that their potential to experience pleasure is beyond what they could even imagine. But again, the catch is you have to be fully aroused. And so this whole thing that we're talking about is about arousing. And when I say don't forget the clit, I'm not just talking about during oral sex. Did you know that most women actually don't experience orgasm through intercourse without some type of direct or indirect stimulation of the clitoris? So that means that even, after you've provided oral pleasure to your woman, that's not all the clitoris needs. The clitoris needs to be involved in every process of the sexual process. So even during intercourse where there's, penetration, there still needs to be some level of stimulation on that clitoris. So don't forget about it. Don't leave it kind of like on the sideline watching the game. The clitoris needs to be in the game at all times. I mean, on defense, on offense, special teams, it needs to be fully engaged in whatever is happening. And the more that happens, again, the more she will love you in terms of what you're doing and how you're providing pleasure. So I know this is gonna help. Usually I say I hope this helps, but I already know. If you follow these ways that I've given you, you will definitely enjoy sex a lot better, and your partner will also thank you very much for the fact that you followed these little tips that I had today. So again, like and subscribe if you enjoy the video and enjoy other content that I have on this channel. I'll continue to put more stuff out. Talk to you all later.